It's time for the newsroom. Martin Mutua, Muganda, and the lovely Kathryn Omwandho are with us for this discussion. Gentleman, lady, co-host. Yeah, you are gentleman. Yeah, I was going to be like, and what is he? Illicit brew. It's back. We used to have a time when there was, a while back, quite a number of stories coming out on illicit brew, and then it all died down. Everybody seems to forget about it, and then look at this: over 60 people dead. Crazy, Martin.
This is a tragedy. If you look at it in terms of even the kind of deaths we've had from the killings by the terrorists by Al-Shabaab, if you combine all of them, illicit brewers have overtaken them by far. In the last 1 month, what we've been having in terms of the terror attacks and what has just happened within a day is terrible. I mean, so that for me, I cannot comprehend. When I was looking at how the news was coming in last evening, it really hit me, because I was wondering, is it a coincidence that you have people dying in 2 areas in central, then you have 2 areas in eastern, then it to me does not make sense. Why did this illicit brew come from one distiller, all of it, or what was the pattern? So I think police need to investigate and tell us what this kind of thing is. But it's a real tragedy. It shows that there is need for us to tighten the loose end in terms of how this situation comes about, and also address in totality. Why would people engage in consuming illicit brew, if we call it? It's just like it's a coincidence that probably that one was just adulterated, but it means in our everyday life, in the villages, you have people consuming this brew. So it is just, I can say, an accident or a pattern that it just occurred that at this particular day, this is what happened. So in essence, every day, what happens in terms of trying to control this kind of a situation?
I have a lot of experience in this. Please bring in your personal experience when you answer this question.
I don't even drink but I think the problem here is this issue of when something is off the headlines or it's off the news, we think like it does not happen. So I want to believe that for a very long time, as Mutua says, I think this thing has been going on. The people probably have been dying and all that, but we only take, because this will be in the news for 2 or 3 days, then we'll forget about it. This is a problem that has been there for quite some time, but at the same time, it's all about our drinking culture, because this is a country where, and I'm sorry to say this, and it's a fact, where alcohol, whichever pure or good it is advertised at prime time, in as much as our sports news is actually brought to you by an alcoholic brand. Our major soccer league, that's football league, is sponsored by an alcoholic brand. So you see, it's a culture. This is a country where actually we take kids to pubs over the weekend, when we call these things family families and all that. So just because, it's a culture, those people may not afford this, so they tend to go for that. I understand something like UEFA Champions League is also sponsored by an alcoholic drink, but the way they go about it is that there are laws in different countries. Like in Russia, they would never advertise it as Heineken. You see, the different laws for different countries, and it's only that we've never come up with proper laws to probably regulate alcohol consumption or the way alcohol is advertised. In other countries, they ban advertising of alcohol, and alcoholic companies, breweries actually, and vintners, what they do is that they use what is called surrogate advertising. So instead of advertising X beer, you actually probably advertise X glasses, you see, X drinking glasses. So that's called surrogate advertising. But here we advertise alcohol in our mainstream media.
I think we banned it. Like we don't have breweries advertise on TV or newspapers anymore.
No, I just told you our Premier League is sponsored by an alcoholic drink.
No, not on mainstream. So that is one thing. That
but our sports news on TV is brought to you by who? You see, so it's a culture actually. These guys, it's our drinking culture. It's our drinking culture. We've never internalized this fact that actually we can drink in moderation. We've never internalized that. So if I cannot afford that expensive drink, I go for this other one. But also, I think also we need to come up, because this is murder. Have we ever even evaluated and found out, like, all these things, that what is the substance in these drinks that kill these people? If I give an example, in your shags, people drink this they've been drinking it for so many years. The so-called illicit drink. But how come people never die? At what point?
A nation that drinks together gets high together.
Yeah.
That's a lovely one.
I kind of disagree with Clay for once. It's not the advertising, because I don't think if I see a billboard or if I see an advert, I'll be like, oh, I need to get Tusker, or I need to get Heineken. But I think it's more of, like we said earlier, the deeper issues. When it did kill a lot of people 3 years ago, we went to Nyeri, and we found that the packets were actually packets. It's not branded, branded packets that were being sold, and that those are the ones that had the adulterated substance, or had extra amounts of methanol and all that, or ethanol, and so that means it came from one place to Nyeri. There has to be some factory somewhere that's making this brew, and for them to get to Nyeri, what happens with the stops? When the police stop these trucks, do they check? Do they question? Are there checkpoints? I think that's probably the question. How does this alcohol get to the people, and can it be stopped on its journey too?
Isn't the biggest story our culture of corruption and looking the other way, and not caring about
it's a culture of corruption. It's a culture of corruption. Our culture of drinking and all these things come together. I covered the first deaths of illicit brews, the one that was called Kumi Kumi. I covered them at some informal slums in Nairobi. That was very many years ago. And I remember going to this place, and the people you think that they're seated at, actually they're dead. You see, that was the first time this thing hit people. But between that time and now, what has been done? I mean, have we even evaluated, like, okay, fine, the kind of substance in what that this guy is put here is this one. Let's ban it, or let's regulate its distribution. Nothing has been done. You see, and some of these packets, as you say, some of them actually have keb stickers. You get, some of them have keb stickers. So ideally, I think also the media also needs to play a very big role.
Martin, have we raised, still on that point, Sophia, sorry, have we raised enough consciousness, if you like, all right, of the public in terms of connecting the dots, right? So today we've done a big story on 60 people killed, and it's a shock. It's everywhere, in the prime time we'll do it. Then tomorrow something else will happen. We completely move on, move it into somewhere in the side of the front page. The next day, nothing, probably in the middle. Have we done enough in terms of our own in the newsroom to consciousness, try and connect the dots to people and show them that we have a structure and something that is breaking in this country, that is our structures, it's our laws, it is the way we deal and we do things, and connect these dots and show how it's killing us in different places, in terrorism, in alcoholism, everything. It's killing because it's one single problem.
I think we've done a lot in terms, under the circumstances that we are in. First, you look at in terms of just to let my friend Clay know, the laws are there. The Mutua laws are there, what we call Mutua laws. I was in Parliament when these laws were passed. Enforcement is what is not there. If you ask John Mutua, they will tell you, because the issue, the law that prevents the issue, deals with issues of alcoholic drinks, deals with issues of advertising, deals with issues of illicit brews, and deals with issues of packages in terms of what kind of drinks should be sold to the people. That's why you saw the issue of packaging those plastics and stuff. At some point they were done away with. So how they're managing to come in, it's about enforcement of the law. But to come to the point of whether the media has done enough, when this law was passed, the Parliament, the media took it up, and it was all over the place. That's why everybody got to know about the Mutua laws. Why would people fear about when they talk about Mutua laws? It came because the media was at the forefront and informing people of what was happening. But let me tell you, Smart, what ails this country? Only two things. The culture of greed and corruption. Every problem that we are having, you trace it, be it Al-Shabaab, be it looting of public funds, be it this culture of drinking illicit brew. It all boils down to culture of greed and corruption, because how, like Kathryn was saying, how did this kind of drink penetrate in those areas? It means there are people who looked the other way when these things were going that side. And maybe some people are given some little money here and there, and they looked the other way, and the drink went. Every other day, if you ask the local administration where changa or where illicit brew or whatever is brewed in a village, they know.
And they go to get their tax from there, of course, the company.
Yeah, but why? Because of greed and corruption.
So the question then that would beg is, how do we consistently then help the public get to that point? That we're just not doing shock and horror, deaths, how do we show them that at the end of it, we're talking about terrorism, we're talking about insecurity, we're talking about alcohol and illicit and drug abuse. All these things come from those two things. However, the public to come to that basic level, inconsistent enough to say, this is it. At the end of it all, 60 people have died, but yes, it's because of corruption, it's because of greed.
We will continue, because as what we can do is only highlight these things. We can only inform people and those in authority to know what is happening within their midst. As you can see, we have this story about Anglo-leasing. Right now the government is rushing very much to want to pay some shadowy figures, because there are characters who want to benefit out of this corruption and greed. But look at what the president said in 2006 when the official opposition leader. He said he condemned this thing. But what are the things? What is happening right now? They are pushing very much to pay this money. Why? Because people are going to benefit. So we will continue highlighting and telling them whenever they are doing wrong, this is how things should happen. We need to have a system in terms of, if the security apparatus have to tighten their nerves, they have to deal with issues that they have been entrusted to do. Are we putting them on check? Is the police, the Inspector General of Police doing his job? Is the Minister in charge of Internal Security doing his job? Are the provincial officers doing their jobs? I mean, now we are looking the other way in terms of this illicit drink. We've forgotten temporarily about the issue of Al-Shabaab.
Absolutely. Until
now, when we are hit again on the other side,
it's a knee-jerk.
It's a wholesome package.
It's a knee-jerk reaction. This I would call it that, because after 2 or 3 days, if something happens again, you'll forget this. You see, so we don't have that sustained. We never do that sustained media reporting of media campaigns. Like, okay, fine, for the month of probably October, for this or for this period of time, we'll keep on doing this, because things like this is a social issue. It only makes it to the front pages when actually people have died. But do we ever address the problem of alcoholism? Because this is also one of the things. Do we ever address it? Even though I don't believe myself in a disease called alcoholism, but yes, I know the very much who believe in it and suffer from it, but do we ever address it?
To believe it's for it to be there.
Yeah, I'm saying personally I don't, because when I stopped drinking, I woke up one morning and I said, I'm not going to drink. That's how I did it.
You beat alcoholism. That's what
I congratulate you for beating alcoholism, but it exists.
I just said, like, I'm not going to do it. Anyway, I don't, yes, it exists. Some people, personally, I mean, in my book, it doesn't mean that doesn't exist. So this kind of issues, how often do we address them? We only talk about them when people have died, like in this case, and then 2 or 3 days later, they will come up with all these stories, all these sob stories, all these sad headlines and all that. We'll write all the commentaries and blame the government and blame the chiefs and blame all these people. But at the same time, I mean, there's much more. Let's forget about the authorities first. Let's internalize the problem.
Because the other things matter. We will not stop people from drinking.
Yeah.
That's something that you should know. People will continue drinking, but we must ensure that whatever they drink is something that is safe for their lives.
So give them an alternative.
It's true.
Give them an alternative.
Yeah, give them a safer, cheaper alternative for now. It's because I'm sure, for me to get the psyche of somebody who gets up goes to a drinking den, shoots a lethal concoction, that is somebody who is going through something.
It's actually called shooting.
As they do it.
Yes, they shoot this lethal concoction. This is somebody who's probably going through depression. This is somebody who's probably going through the fact that, oh my God, I don't have a job. I don't have any other thing to do. This is somebody who's not happy. This is not a whole person. So before you fix that, make sure that what he shoots is safe.
But this stuff is really cheap as is. Right now it's pretty cheap. And the thing about infiltration, is it price? Is it how affordable it is? Because they want it as strong as it can be with that fast shot. So that, you know...
Can you just play something here? The first time you covered Kumikumi, I think it was probably in the 90s.
It was actually, that's the time the name Kumikumi came
in the late 90s.
Yeah.
It is the first time that we are trying to brand illicit brews. Is that not true? Before that, there's been Changa, there's been Waragi, there's been all these things, but didn't have this. So is this a problem of us trying to be, be with it? We need to brand our drinks because the one that is branded is safe.
No, even in the alcoholic drinks, even Changa used to be outlawed, but they said these are traditional drinks are allowed. But so long as they meet the requirements that they're supposed to be, that they are safe, they've been inspected. I mean, when I see them destroying Buza or Kamara or whatever, it's wrong because it's supposed to be, if it is well prepared, you can, I've been to places in
Martin,
and I've gone to funerals and places of relatives, and they bring stuff which is people are enjoying, and I've not seen people die. It is a fact. Ask my good friend from Muganda, he will tell you these things. I mean,
actually, Muganda supposedly has the best.
And even Clay knows that.
Brilliant has the best. But I think it's because
there's something very wrong in terms of what,
because this is not brewed.
This is something that somebody wants to make a quick buck, and the way they want to you have to make it more lethal and price it very lowly, and then so that you can serve it to many people as possible, you get a kill. So it is the culture of greed and corruption again that is getting in. So this is something that we need to address from our families going up to the national government.
I don't want to sound very traditionalist, but I think also that it's more or less like culture, because like where James Martin, maybe Kathryn come from, drinking was more or less like a social thing. And if you brewed alcohol or you distilled it and people ended up dying from it, then actually you'd be more or less like ostracized from the society. So it was a social thing. It was more or less like...
In fact, the best chemists in the village are the ones who are given the responsibility of brewing alcohol. But now it has changed more or less. Because distillation process.
I mean, and also people never die. How many times do you ever hear people have died in Western Kenya or in other province, and they drink this thing all the time? It's because of that thing that is attached to it. But now, I'm sorry, we come to Central, and now again you come to Eastern now. Eastern, Central, and now you come to Eastern, and there's this thing of adding the formaldehyde, the thing that they use in mortuaries, and
methanol as well,
methanol and stuff like that, to make it more. They never knew how to make alcohol
in the first place.
Yes.
But people don't go online
it only makes them very, very lazy.
That is killing us.
But also, I mean, like in a place like Central Province, and by Central Province I mean the larger Central and part of Eastern and all that, women have really been complaining. Actually, let me call them mothers have been complaining about this, but nobody listens to them. Okay. I don't know whether actually another maybe high-profile woman will have to run so that these people will take notice, because we'll have to go for a marathon for people to take notice that actually these women are actually having all this problem.
Gerald, good morning. Good morning, Gerald. Hello, good morning. I think you have a problem. Gerald wanted to contribute, possibly, hopefully not from an end.
Maybe he's still having a drink.
But in as much as
Gerald, can you hear me now? I think a problem with that line.
In as much as women are complaining, women are also, like Sophia mentioned earlier, women are also dying from these brews. It's such a interesting phenomenon that they're the ones that are a large number of the people who died. So, I don't know.
How can the media reach these people or how can the media help them then?
I mean, I think it's a personal choice.
We also need to address in terms of, let's face it, our poverty index is also very high. And we need to address all that in terms of how people can be empowered to be able to do constructive work even in their localities. There are lots of, face it, there are lots of people who are unemployed. Let's not bury our heads in the sand. There are hard times. We know this country, the taxes are very high. So affording staff is also a challenge. The gap between the rich and the poor has widened. Let's not pretend. So in as much as we want to blame these people for drinking what they can afford, we also have to tackle this thing in totality in terms of empowering people in the economic aspect so that they can be able to do meaningful work. So if people are throughout engaged, you will find this problem is going to be a bit minimal. But even as you empower people, there has to be some process in terms of how we deal with issues of branding our alcohol and ensuring that it's safe for the people, whether it is traditional brew or it is the one that is being taken in the urban areas.
All right, let's try Gerald one more time. Gerald, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Do you enjoy your drink?
Yes.
You do?
No, I actually don't enjoy my drink. I'm a teetotaler.
You stopped?
Yes,
right.
It was just a conscious decision.
All right. What's your concern? What's your contribution this morning, Gerald?
The number of people that have died. Those are people who are young. But really, in as much as we are saying corruption and government control that needs to happen, people cannot run away from their individual responsibility. I should part of the blame to government because recently the government increased the taxes on keg beer from EAPL, making it a bit expensive for even the ordinary person to be drinking. Now, when they turn to these small, these funny beers that are killing people, this funny alcohol that is killing people, again, you ask yourself, at the time they were dying, where were they supposed to be? Part of the problem that we have, especially in central Kenya, is that even land remains idle. Or even when initiatives are brought, like recently there was the Carnival Vijana initiative, most of the people who are going there to work were women because the men were drunk in shopping centers. The little money they get, they run to shopping centers to drink this beer. Somebody drinks a beer or a drink of about 20-50 shillings. He's gone for the day. Now, these are the problems which are there, and these are the things which are saying that even individual persons need to take responsibility for these things that have happened. It's not so much the government. The government cannot be everywhere.
So it is individual responsibility for you.
Yes.
Thank you, Gerald. You know what's interesting? It's a day before this, there was a trailer, is it, that had lorry? Yes. The story on Monday morning, there's a lorry that had an accident, and an entire community came to a standstill.
But that's why I keep
give us that drink.
That's why I keep talking about it's our drinking culture also needs to be taken into it's our drinking culture. Because as my father used to say, is that we drink kama maskini, in as much as when we find alcohol, we want to finish it because we're not sure whether we'll find alcohol the following day. You see, that is the whole thing. That is our drinking culture. The culture of drinking in this country is actually despicable. That one we cannot run away from it, because we are saying that these people are dying. They're dying like from this is cheap alcohol. But how many people actually, because
die from expensive alcohol?
From the so-called expensive alcohol. How many?
Over time.
Yeah, over a period of time. Yeah. How many?
It's a valid question.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It's in totality. That's what I'm saying. You will not stop people from drinking.
Of course, yes, you can stop people from drinking.
They will drink.
But I think what we need to raise these issues to do with alcoholism and alcohol intake and all that, so that people get educated. Even that so many people actually who have so much money. The other day, a cousin of mine was telling me that it's called Chivas Regal. but he gives it to his workers at home, and the guys.
What's that? It's a brand of a drink.
Shiraz. I don't know. Yeah, that's the one I think Patney used to give. Patney used to give the guys those days. Anyway, so he tells me that this is what he gives his workers. So I asked him, like, do they ever get high, or do they even appreciate it? He told me, no. After that, I still have to buy them changa. You see, so whatever it is that actually we're drinking, we need to raise these issues about alcoholism or alcohol poisoning or whatever it is that happens to us at all levels, because this is the same country where when Mutua initially came up, or when this alcohol came in, people actually went to court because Kenyans never want anything that comes between them in their bottle, and if that bottle actually is hurting them. I'm very sure right now, even if you try to do something about illicit brews, the guys will probably say like, oh, hawana kazi, sisi maskini, this is our only whatever livelihood. Why does government want to deny other form of livelihood? So it's a serious issue, and I think it needs to be addressed much more than in this cosmetic manner only when people die. It's something that needs to be addressed over a period of time. The same way we address teenage pregnancies, the same way we address things like HIV prevalence and all that over a period of time. Because I want to trust that the more people who die from alcohol, the people who suffer from alcohol-related deaths, much more than probably HIV-related.
All right, let's speak to Habakkuk, who's calling us. Habakkuk, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead with your contribution.
Well, that number that for people that have died is very alarming. And I think that somebody might have manipulated that brew.
Someone may have?
Manipulated.
Somebody. What I'm saying is that there might have been a manipulation by Al-Shabaab. Our mind on but guys have been trained. Guys have been trained by Al-Shabaab from that area. So somebody can find its way out. Al-Shabaab changing tactics to use our food stuff.
Okay,
kill people. Yeah.
All right, Habakkuk, thanks for calling in for the contribution. Habakkuk saying that perhaps Al-Shabaab is changing tack and is using this as well.
Habakkuk was a prophet in Bible days. I hope he doesn't come from the Hebrew times.
You can't blame him
like that, because such a large
for such a huge number to perish in one day.
Actually,
it actually is a possible.
It keeps morphing.
I was saying in 1 month, I think we lost very few people to the real tourism
compared
to this. So why would you?
I think maybe until probably that is. But you see, even that can only be proven if at all the results of what substance was in this thing, if we get to know that, and we probably find out
it's there. It's covered in the dailies. One of the dailies has got the whatever's covered.
Okay, maybe from the government.
And you even have to that they're taking notes,
taking notes.
Yes.
I mean, I think this thing has really morphed, because when it said it was called Kumi Kumi, I don't think nowadays it still costs that much.
Anyway. There was Yokozuna, there was something. It comes up with different names. Yeah. But I think it's the same thing, less than it. Gentlemen, let's move to the next thing.
Angle leasing.
Angle of leasing. Very quickly on this.
I just have to say that actually what the Standard has done today, the front page story, it's nice. I mean, I like it.
Congratulations, Martin, really.
I mean, this is a nice story. I mean, like, I think it has gone back in I was just finding out, like, right? Yeah, unless this house takes appropriate action, they will continue to exist even in the government to come. That's what Mr. Kenyatta said some years back. Angle leasing is a system that has been used to systematically fleece taxpayers and the Kenyan public under the guise of security. I mean, and this is the time now he is actually holding, I mean, it's
instruments of power.
Yeah, and holding, now he has the baby. He's been left holding the baby, so to speak, And I think to remind him of these things, or to remind the government of the day of these things, I think that it's putting it into perspective, something that most of the time I always complain about our media, that we never have what is called institutional memory. So we just keep on going.
And as we continue, let's hear what Olata has for us. He's calling us. Olata, good morning. Yeah, let's have some more volume in studio. Yes, Olata, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Serikali inasema inataka kusaidia wale watu wamekufa. Inamaanisha kuna kitu ile wanapatanga kubwa sana. Kwa hiyo bomba.
Okay.
Starehe ni gharama. Ikiwa mtu mwenyewe amejipatia starehe, mbona kugharamia mwenyewe anataka mwingine kugharamia tena?
Alright. Asante sana Olata kwa kupiga simu kwa kuwatch kipindi. You have
Swahili is not
talent.
It's not your tongue.
No, his contribution there in as far as that other contribution which you've wound up on illicit brews. But what you were saying, that this story has put into context the issue of Anglo-leasing. But at the beginning, when this came back, it's not the first time we're talking about this, there was a confusion in figures, and somebody talked about the initial figure, whether it's the media that had concocted it, come up with it. It wasn't. So very many people to date are still very unclear about how much are we talking about and what contract was some addressed. Are these questions all covered? Clear.
Sophia, these Anglo-leasing, there will never be a specific figure.
It is ghost.
It depends on which ghost pops out.
Okay.
The ghost that pops out and wants this particular figure, they will always come out. The figure will come out. So even the government itself, even the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, cannot pretend to say it's only 1 billion. No, we've covered this thing before, and it is, you can see even Uhuru Kenyatta says in this context it was over 55 billion. So it depends on the ghost that wakes up and comes up, because we don't know who it is and who is looking for it. So the corruption cartels which have been quiet and the ghosts have just now resurrected, and they want this money paid. So it is nobody should pretend to know that it is a particular figure, but believe you me, it is billions. That is all.
So nobody knows how much it is.
It is in excess of 50 billion.
You see, the biggest spin for anyone in government would say, we're actually just paying 1 billion. It's just one, and we are done with it. That is the biggest spin that you'll ever have, as opposed to saying, we're not going to pay. We're going to pay. You say, listen, we're not speaking about those hundreds of billions you guys are talking about. Just want to pay this guy just one.
That is the one ghost.
That's one ghost. So what?
Yeah. And then after 5 years we'll have other ghosts coming.
The other ghosts are processing their payments. Shortly, another ghost will show up. Say, there's another ghost that showed up. Now this is another one. This is not the one that we paid the other time. So this is another one.
And that they are Kenyan businessmen, powerful people.
That brings me to something that actually I keep on harping about, and I had the director of Article 19 also talking about it the other day when the Editors Guild actually started complaining about Mr. Kenyatta's speech. I keep on talking about Freedom of Access to Information Act or Freedom of Access to Information Bill. So many figures, we have been getting so many figures wrong. First of all, it came with SGR, the standard gauge railway. At some point, we were told no, this thing is not this much. But who gives us the initial figures? And releasing it came, I think, 120, then 114, then it scaled down to 1.4, only 1.4 billion. If at all we had this, then we could actually go to probably the Treasury or wherever it is and get the right information. But right now we don't have that luxury of going, what are we going to tell them, give me this information, we need this information. We don't have any legislation. So I think also as a media and all these media entities, we need to push for the passing of this particular bill so that we can actually go there and tell them that we need this information. If you don't give us this information, then actually you're contravening the law. But that thing has never been passed. So I think also we need to do that. As for the figures, it's difficult to know which one is right, because at some point I think we were told that people returned money, this and raising money. At some point we were told that it's a scandal that never was. You see, nobody has actually taken, is it Kiraitu Murungi to task to ask him, what about this thing now that the standard that never was? And nobody has actually, because the thing that money was returned was said by the previous government spokesman, or probably, the people who had the treasury that time who advised him. Can we ask these people, okay, fine, tell us, this money was returned, who returned it?
I think those questions were asked, and the government never had no answers. Just like they will never have any answers even up to
So
now.
Is it that the government is refusing to answer, or the government does not know?
So nobody knows. It doesn't know.
Those are the same questions that Jubilee MPs were asking at Pan-Africa. They said yes. Because the way, you can see the way government plays with things. When they wanted this thing to pass last week, they put it on the order paper. And in the estimates, they're saying they're only paying some contracts, but they're not. It took the hawk eyes of some of the Jubilee MPs here at Pan-Africa to ask, this is Anglo-lism. Why are you not telling us who these people are?
I have another issue about that Pan-Africa meeting that we will execute with you much later in a bit. But first, let's talk to Kazungu. Kazungu, good morning. Good morning, Kazungu.
Hello, Kenyan.
Yes.
Yes, on the issue of work of women.
Yes.
I think the local community or the citizen, they don't know what they put in that alcohol. Whatever they add, I think they don't know what they are adding. And also from the government, I think there's the electric. I do propose that the government should enforce laws to make sure that
Kazungu, thank you very much for your contribution.
Such a big issue. People are still on the James, you need to...
Yes,
we need to create time for it. Yes. But here's the issue about this. So cabinet secretary leaves treasury, goes to a hotel to randomly meet some random MPs that we didn't know about. Then the alert that we get is that the Jubilee MPs are walking out, and that's where the media catches up with this story. I have a problem with that.
It adds to the mystery. You can't see. It adds to the mystery. Why would the Treasury Cabinet Minister go quietly and try to lobby the Jubilee MPs to be able to pass something that he himself does not want to disclose in terms